Well, those are the headlines that we're tracking at this hour. I'm Arif Sherwani, but welcome to a special broadcast of the Newsmakers, where we're looking at the big story this evening. CNBC-TV18 told you first, and now it's official. Jet Airways chairman Naresh Goyal and his wife Anita Goyal have finally stepped down from the board of the debt-laden airline. The other CNBC-TV18 exclusive news break that has been confirmed now is that the consortium of lenders led by State Bank of India are set to infuse up to 1,500 crore rupees in the airline. Let's go across to Ritu, standing by with all the details. Ritu, this will also lead to the top deck rejig at Jet, so it seems. Can you tell us about today's developments and also how lenders are planning to go about that management overhaul?
It is an end of an era, really, to speak, at Jet Airways, with both Naresh Goyal and his wife Anita Goyal now agreeing to step down from the board of Jet Airways. That is what has been, communicated to the exchanges today. One nominee from Etihad will also be stepping down from the board, in line with the stake that they will now hold in the airline. Naresh Goyal, therefore, will also cease to be the chairman of Jet Airways at this point of time. What the lenders have decided today is that for the price of Rupee 11.4 crore new shares will be issued to the lenders, after which they will become a majority, that is 50.5% owners of Jet Airways, and Etihad's stake will halve from 24 to 12% and Naresh Goyal's from 51 to 25.5%. In addition, lenders will put in 1,500 crore rupees additionally in the company, in the airline immediately, which will be sufficient to take care of operations for the next 2 months. Goyal will continue to have the buyback option, which means he can increase his stake in future if he brings in the requisite funds. So no perpetuity, cap on his shareholding at this point of time. Rajneesh Kumar, the chairman of State Bank of India, clarified to us that the lenders will be inviting expressions of interest to acquire a strategic stake in Jet Airways by the 9th of April, and binding bids will be submitted for Jet Airways by the 30th of April. And therefore, the whole process should be completed by the June quarter, which is by 31st of May. A new investor or investors, which could be a strategic fund, should be in place, to run Jet Airways. In the meantime, NIIF, which had expressed an interest in acquiring some stake in the company, continues to be, interested. It is still exploring that option to invest more money into Jet Airways. In the meantime, before the stake is transferred to a new investor, the Jet board, there will be a new interim board that will monitor the daily operations and the cash flow. There'll be lenders as well that will be nominees on the board that will continue to manage all of these operations. So largely, this is the plan that is in the work. It is a temporary relief, yes, but the big question now will be to find that strategic investor for Jet Airways.
Right, Ritu, absolutely. So end of an era there, like Ritu said. But we also spoke with the lead lender, SBI's chairman Rajneesh Kumar, on those developments. We started by asking him about the lender's decision to infuse up to 1,500 crore rupees in the airline and what will be Etihad's role going forward. Take a look at what he said.
As a result of this restructuring of equity, lenders have converted 1 rupee of their debt into 50.1%. Okay? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go on.
Please go ahead.
So that is very clear from the communication to the stock exchange.
Yeah.
And there is a value in the jet. So this 50% equity has some value. Even with the today's current market price, there is a value in it. Yes. But at the same time, the instrument which is proposed, a 10-year instrument for 1,500 crore rupees, which will be a deep discount sort of NCD, but fully secured. So it is a fully secured funding. It is priority funding.
Yeah.
It is interim funding for 2 months.
Okay.
Which we believe that is good enough to make the operations of the airline normal very soon.
Okay, Mr. Kumar,
they can repossess their aircraft, and they can publish their schedule, and the effort would be that normalcy is restored and then sell Jet Airways as a going concern.
Yeah, Mr. Kumar,
so
just a minute.
is now 12% only, and Mr. Naresh Goyal is just 25.1%, but there will be understanding from both of them that there will not be any roadblocks from any one of them when the new investor comes in, and they will abide by the terms given by the new investor.
Okay, so for 1,500 crore that the bankers are infusing, will Etihad and Naresh Goyal and partners pledge their securities? Anything that... what do you mean by saying...
lending?
Secured lending.
Secured lending.
Secured with what? What will be the collateral?
No, I don't have to share everything with you.
Okay.
But it will be a secured lending. It is no undue risk being taken by the lenders in the whole scheme of things.
Okay. And
again, I am telling that this 1500, which lenders are putting as a priority, secured interim funding, in return, lenders are getting 50% worth of shares.
I agree.
This value is set to the market cap is 1500 crore.
We got that, sir.
So you get that, no?
Yes. No, I got that. So when you say secured, you mean your equity value itself is 1500 crore, correct?
No. That is one, but it is further secured.
Okay.
And it will have priority over cash flows over any other lending.
Mr. Kumar, who would be on the interim committee that will manage Jet Airways now that the chairman is gone?
That details will take, but their CEO, their CFO, one of the independent directors on the board, advised and supported by McKinsey, supported by one of the either Big Four or Alvarez and Marshall to monitor the progress. All those elements are in place and have been well thought of in advance.
And this this 1500 crores is pro rata from all the lenders?
There is a different type of lenders. There is a consortium of Indian lenders who will be taking pro rata share in the equity and the pro rata share in the funding and the pro rata share in all the securities.
Mr. Kumar, sir, the very heartening aspect in this press release is the fact that lenders, including, of course, SBI, is saying that a buyer will perhaps be found and the process should be completed by June. So where is that conviction coming from?
June is too late. My expectation is 31st May.
31st May. So are you in discussion, sir? If you could throw some light, where is this conviction and confidence of finding a buyer coming from?
So you have to understand that for 5 months, we put this account under watch on 1st of November. And we put this account under the RBI circular on 1st of January. So we were not sitting idle throughout these 5 months. Lenders have been working on it, even current management, Mr. Goyal, Etihad, everybody was working on it. The resolution plan was almost ready. It is unfortunate that because of the differences in opinion amongst the JV partners, it could not proceed. So it had to be shelved. Shelved in the sense that now we have to look that somebody comes in and if they like the plan or they want some tweaking, they want modifications, all that will be a subject matter of negotiation with the new investor.
Sir, your bidders, are they one of the 3 airlines that are already working?
This I cannot.
Indigo, SpiceJet and Vistara?
The market is open for everyone. Whoever wants to come in, there will be an expression of interest, which will be given by 9th April.
No, but you said...
And 30th April, we want binding bid. It could be X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, anyone.
By 30th
It could be a financial investor. It could be an airline. It is, as I said, that with today's board meeting of Jet taking certain decisions, way is open for anyone to come in, including Mr. Naresh Goyal himself or Etihad. Nobody is barred from bidding or taking over the airlines as per the rules of the Ministry of Civil Aviation and the relevant aircraft.
So, but as you said, you all have been working for the last 5 months. Surely you can guide us as to whether it's a financial investor or whether it is one of the airlines that are already operating.
It can be a combination of both.
So does NIIF still remain in talks to pick up about 20% stake?
They are a financial investor. They will take their call at the appropriate time.
And so has Etihad conveyed to you definitely that they would be looking at selling their stake, or would they remain invested?
I can only say that the field or the way is open for everyone. Doors have not been closed. There is no bar. There is no legal bar on anyone to arrange for the funding, have a proper revival plan, and take it over.
So why is it...
Lenders are just trustees.
So why is it that the Etihad nominee has stepped down from the board if Etihad wants to continue to remain invested?
Because their equity is coming down from 25 to 12. Okay. For 12%, they are entitled to hold only 1.
Okay, so
and Mr. Naresh Goyal both have resigned. They have come down from 50 to 25. So it is like a fair deal, I would say.
So that explains why the Etihad board member has stepped down. But earlier we were given to understand that Etihad was bring in equity. If certain conditions were met, one of those conditions was...
So now they have to take that call whether those conditions have been met or not.
So has the perpetuity clause been removed from Naresh Goyal's shareholding in Jet Airways?
All that is irrelevant now.
That was one of the conditions for Etihad
but that was between when Mr. Naresh Goyal and Etihad were negotiating. It was at that stage, all that is gone.
What is the most likely scenario on May 31st, sir? Will Etihad continue?
The best case scenario is that airlines is running at the full capacity. The fare between Delhi and Bombay is not 1 lakh rupees for business class.
Okay.
The job of the 23,000 employees has been protected.
Okay.
And lenders have not lost much money.
Okay.
And lenders' sacrifice is not higher than the equity holders' sacrifice.
Okay.
So this is the ideal scenario for me in May 31.
Yes.
This is my wish that it turns out to be true, but I cannot guarantee.
Yeah. So, but at the moment, will the international services of Jet be restored, or will you concentrate on more restoring the domestic services?
That with this 1,500 crore, that is done as quickly as possible and to the extent possible.
And so the salaries and the dues, would they also be paid? Pilots have not been paid for over 3 months. Would that also be taken care of?
They are important stakeholders, and I must salute the second line of management in Jet Airways, including the pilots, that despite such a difficult time, they have been very patient, but their commitment to the organization, in my view, if I were to decide everything, then that should not go waste.
Okay. So what is the total dues?
We are taking the risk. We have taken the risk. Lenders have taken the risk. But ultimately, in the end, if the story is successful, the risk was worth taking. But these are the high risk, high reward games.
So now the question of valuation is going to come up increasingly from here on. And one number did the rounds over the last several months, and 150 rupees a share. Now, I mean, as a lender, obviously, you would want to maximize value. What's the thought process? I mean, what is the internal thinking within the community?
That we will have to leave it to the new investor.
But you would hope that it will be more than 150 for sure.
I don't know, because it is a combination. Somebody will have to say that against your debt of 5,000 crore, this is what we are paying, and this is a stake of 50.1%. This is what we are paying, and it is a listed company. There is a process. All the listing regulations of SEBI and guidelines relating to open offer, everything will have to be complied with.
Okay. So
there are a lot of regulatory and compliance issues. Everybody will have to take care of that, whether it is RBI, whether it is SEBI, or whether it is Ministry of Civil Aviation.
So what is your hunch when the final plan on May 31st is ready? Will Etihad and Naresh Goyal be shareholders at all?
That is for the new investor to decide. If they want their equity to be bought in completely, he will buy and they will sell.
So on that, another very important clarification, you mentioned open offer. Now, if this new investor is going to come in and let's say is looking to buy 25% equity,
they have to make open offer.
So there will be, though this is a special resolution plan, there will be no exemption from the takeover code. That means open offer will be triggered?
It will trigger, and I think SEBI has made it very clear that unless it is NCLT process, open offer exemption will not be available.
So does Mr. Naresh Goyal still have the option to buy back his stake at some point, or is that going to be capped at the current level?
The way is open for him, because as I said, that the only criteria which outside IBC process also we will apply is nobody ineligible under 29A of IBC makes a bid.
Okay. So you would have done some initial groundwork already, as you said, in the last 5 months. Can you tell us who is ready with the cash? Should we expect 1 bid, 2 bids, 3 bids?
You are very inquisitive, Lata. Wait for some time. By 30th April, we will know.
PC Mohanan, who resigned as the acting chairman of the National Statistical Commission, has warned against using statistical data as a political tool. Mohanan, along with one other NSC member, had quit in protest against the centre's decision to withhold an important jobs report. He has now written to CNBC-TV18 on questions raised by economists and statistical data. Lata Venkatesh joins us now with Pranab Sen, former chief statistician of India. Lata, over to you.
Thank you very much, Arib. Dr. Sen, just to detail to you the main points raised in the note that Mr. Mohanan has written on the CNBC-TV18 website. He says that, of course, making statistics a political tool is an extremely dangerous game, since statistics are a public good. And he refers specifically to the jobs data, which was one of the questions raised by the economists and countered by the chartered accountants. He points out that, when a Prime Minister asks leading loaded questions like, if you've given 12 crore people loans under Mudra, wouldn't jobs have been created? When there have been the maximum number of roads built in the past 5 years, wouldn't jobs be created? When there are so many rural houses built, wouldn't jobs have been created? Now, when such loaded questions are asked, obviously the NSSO has kind of gotten scared out and does not want to release its report, which clearly from the leaked pages is a report that shows that unemployment was at a 45-year high in the year after demonetization. So basically, he says the silence of the NSSO points out to their subordination to the government, but they can't be blamed because of these leading questions put out by none other than the Prime Minister himself. He also points out that the Niti Aayog Vice Chairman and the Finance Minister questioned the quality of statistics when the government's own gazette says that only the statistical agencies are entitled to comment on any erroneous interpretation of statistics. On the GDP data, again, he points out that the revision of the base year to 2011-12 required elicited a demand that back statistics be calculated, back data be calculated. And there, the back data calculated by, first of all, it was presented by the Niti Aayog, which itself was not in proper form. And secondly, it did not match at all with the back data calculated by the National Statistics Commission members themselves. And hence, economists are doubting it. As well, of course, economists are doubting how in a post-demonetization year, GDP growth can be as high as 8.2%. And finally, he points out that the NSC has no teeth. The Rangarajan Committee clearly said that a National Statistics Commission be appointed and that it be a statutory legal entity. As of now, it's just an advisory committee. The ministry treats it as an appendage because they borrow their administration and no one takes them seriously. They're sidelined, which is why they had to resign. Those were the main contents of the letter, of the note. Dr. Sen, first up, what are your comments on his statement that we are playing a very dangerous game by making statistics kind of political?
Well, I completely agree with that. But, I think one needs to understand the context a little bit. It's unfortunate but true that until quite recently, statistics was never an element in any government's projection of itself. It has become so now. So earlier, governments used official statistics essentially for decision-making purposes, and there was therefore a requirement from within the government to have accurate statistics. Now, statistics has become a part of the larger political campaigning process and the public relations process of the government of the day. And therefore, these sorts of things, while not inevitable, one can see where it's coming from. So the statistical system has actually become a victim of the growing importance of statistics in the Indian economy, where it's gone well beyond the government.
Okay. Let me come to some of the remedies that Mr. Mohanan is suggesting. One of which he says is make the National Statistics Commission a statutory body with its own secretariat.
That is absolutely correct. That was the recommendation of the Rangarajan Commission. The real question is what should be the nature of that statutory body? And there is something of a debate on this. There was a proposal to have this body being outside of the government as a registered society. And anybody who's been in the government knows that the government system and the official statistical system is a government system, would simply ignore any entity which is outside of the government.
Okay.
The other is to give it a statutory status within government, which is really the better option.
Okay. Would this mean that they are chosen something like the MPC?
Not really. The MPC continues to be, in a sense, appendage of the RBI. But there are other bodies which do perform this kind of a function, like the NGT, National Green Time Tribunal.
Sure. Okay, so a tribunal-like status to the independence of that order. The current, doubts over the GDP series, is this impeding people doing doctoral, research or postdoctoral research on Indian GDP data itself, the way it has been recast? So, is there an academic urgency to relook at the recast numbers?
Well, you see, of course, it'll affect people who are, intensive users of the data, and academics are the most intensive. But that's maybe of future importance, because by the time all this academic research comes into the public domain, some time would have passed. The more important thing is that if these data are used for policy-making purposes, so if the government actually believes in the stuff itself, then policy-making becomes really and seriously problematic. The second, of course, is that every corporate in India uses this data very, very intensively now for their own internal planning purposes. All of that becomes seriously problematic again. So I think this is what I meant by the sort of a democratization of the use of official data, that a very large number of people actually use it not for academic purposes, but for decision-making purposes. Okay. And that's what's really going to be impacted.
Well, now that the back data and this NSSO has been called to question, how do you, other data put out by this NSSO or by the CSO have not been held to question. Most people do not doubt their integrity. It's only these two points, the NSSO labor survey not being released and the back data not quite gelling with other data or that calculated by the NSC. How is this to be righted? Mr. Mohanan wants the CSO to proactively engage. But what would be your solution to right these wrongs, if any?
In any case, there is, I think, a very, very important distinction between these two sets of data, which is the GDP and the employment data. The employment data is a primary survey. It's collected from households. That data, to the best of my understanding, nobody has questioned. That data is extremely difficult to manipulate and tamper with. And therefore, the only option left is to suppress it.
Okay.
So you don't have it. Short. GDP data, on the other hand, is a compilation of data. And the manner in which you compile data can vary. And there is nothing which says that there is only one unique way of putting things together. The UN system of national accounts gives various alternatives to calculate the same end figure. Now, which one you adopt is a statistical decision. That you look at the data and you decide which is the appropriate method. And this can only be argued by statisticians themselves. What Mohanan is pointing out is right, which is that there is a deafening silence from the upper echelons of the statistical system. Neither the CSI nor the head of the National Accounts Division, nobody is talking. Now, when you have that kind of a deafening silence, then of course people start questioning. And you have, the likes of the Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, the
CEO.
the CEO of Niti Aayog, who are coming out and talking about. The finance minister is talking about it, none of whom are statisticians. Right?
Yes.
So their words really do not carry credibility in the eyes of the user.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess this debate can go on. I'm told I'm out of time. But thank you very much, Dr. Sen, for joining me with your thoughts. Dr. Sen, the most appropriate person to speak about this, former chairman of the National Statistics Commission and a former chief statistician of India. So when he says the CSO should not be indulging in deafening silence, but should come and explain, I guess he knows what he's speaking about. We have to, end this discussion. We are back to you, Ari.
Right, Lata. Many thanks for taking us through that conversation. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Newsmakers. Many thanks for watching, but do stay tuned to CNBC TV18. Plenty of news and updates continue.